Greetings, JC here for Interface, and today we're going to take a look at this very special custom-built Phono Preamplifier. It's the VinylLiberator, designed and built by Edger Greene. The signal that comes from a phono cartridge is very low level. In the case of moving magnet cartridges, it's usually between 2 and 6 millivolts. Therefore, just like with a microphone, you need a special stage of amplification to bring it up to line level so you can plug it into an amplifier or maybe the input on your sound card on your computer. The Phono Preamp does this. In most home-type receivers and amplifiers, the Phono Preamp is integrated. You'll have a phono input that is specially designed to take the signal from a moving magnet phono cartridge. Not only does a Phono Preamp boost the signal to line level, it also applies the proper equalization to compensate for the RIAA EQ curve used in recording. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. It also provides a proper ground for the phono cartridge to reduce hum. During the process of cutting a record, the signal fed to the cutting head in the lathe is sent through a special equalization filter that reduces the bass and boosts the high frequencies. Here's what the input equalization looks like. This is the standard RIAA curve. You'll see that the low end is reduced by 20 dB and the high end is boosted by 20 dB by the time you get to 20,000 cycles per second. When you play back your record, a corresponding curve must be used to compensate for the curve used during recording. It boosts the bass and lowers the high end by the same amount as it was boosted and lowered, respectively, when the record was recorded. At this point, you might be asking yourself, why is it necessary for records to be recorded with an EQ curve at all? Why not just send a flat signal to the cutter head when the master is being cut? Well, first of all, a record physically cannot record a full power bass signal. The cutter head simply will not move back and forth far enough to actually cut the required excursions into the groove. Bass signals on records take up a lot of space. Even if a record could be recorded with a full power bass signal, there's not a cartridge on the planet that would be able to play it back. So therefore, you have to reduce the bass when recording a record. Reducing the bass also allows more time per side of a record, because if you reduce the bass, the excursions get closer together and you can pack the grooves a little bit tighter. Boosting the high frequencies during the recording process has the benefit of actually lowering the surface noise you hear on playback, because the frequencies are boosted during recording and lowered during playback, and when those high frequencies are lowered, the noise from the record is also lowered. A quick Google search reveals that there is a bunch of preamps on the market today. You can pay anywhere from $20 to $30 for the cheaper models, all the way up to multi-thousands of dollars for highly specialized tube-type preamps that are used with highly specialized moving coil type cartridges. So why would you want to get an external preamp? Well, maybe you don't have a receiver or amplifier with a preamp built in. Maybe you have a receiver or amplifier with a preamp built in and it doesn't deliver the kind of audio quality you're expecting from your cartridge. A lot of turntables come with preamps built in already today. However, the quality of those preamps isn't that great. I always advise folks to get an external preamp of some quality if they really want to get the best sound from their records. Another reason to get a preamp is to be able to make adjustments to the characteristic of the EQ, capacitance, and gain if you like to swap cartridges around or you happen to be using a cartridge that needs a little extra attention. That's why I was looking for my own external preamp. In my former life as a radio announcer, engineer, and program director, I had the chance to work with some really great phono preamplifiers, notably the ones by Stanton. Setting up a turntable for live broadcast is an elaborate thing, and a lot of thought goes into it. Not only is the tone arm set up with the anti-skate and the proper tracking force and tracking angle, the preamplifier is also calibrated to the cartridge being used. The engineers would come in with a test record and an oscilloscope and set this stuff up to where it was absolutely perfect and then forbid you to touch it. When I was looking for a phono preamp for my home setup, I really wanted to have some of the controls that those really high-end professional amplifiers had. and I was able to get them at a very reasonable price because of Edger Greene and his VinylLiberator Phono Preamp. Edger Greene posted a few videos on his YouTube channel, I'm Free 707, talking about his design for a Phono preamplifier. I sent him a message and asked him if it would be possible to get one made with some special features that I had been looking for. He agreed, and this is the result. This is the VinylLiberator JC Bad Edit Pro Custom Edition. And we're going to take a closer look at the special features that are in this device. Taking a look at the front of the VinylLiberator, you'll see that we have a couple of switches to talk about. First, on the left is the mono stereo switch. This allows you to combine the left and right channels on the output of the amplifier and mix them together to get a true mono signal. This is useful for a couple of reasons. Being able to combine the right and left signal and turn it into a true mono eliminates a lot of the quote-unquote stereo noise that you'll hear out in the right and left channels on a mono record being played back on a stereo system. The mono switch is also wired at the final stage of the amplifier, which means that when you're setting the gain and trying to get the proper balance between right and left for a particular cartridge, you can use that as a way to center the signal by ear and get pretty close to having it dead on. And we'll talk more about gain in just a little bit. A scratch filter is on the right side. When this switch is kicked in, it modifies the RIAA curve in such a way that it actually reduces the high end. This is nice if you have a record that is particularly tore up or scratchy with a lot of surface noise. It makes it more listenable and more pleasant to hear, and a very nice feature that Edger added to the VinylLiberator. Taking a look at the back of the VinylLiberator, you'll see that the inputs and outputs are very straightforward and somewhat innovative. The input is the standard right and left RCA phono plug that comes from the turntable. The output, however, is a 1/8 inch stereo phone plug. And Edger was nice enough to provide a 6-foot cable that terminates in a RCA right and left channel. Now, this is nice because you can just use a stereo extension cable to use the VinylLiberator to drive the input of a computer sound card, let's say, and many portable devices have audio inputs that are 1/8 inch stereo, so that works out very nice, and it also keeps the rear of the unit uncluttered. The power input comes from a customized 8-volt AC power supply. Many of the nice preamplifiers on the market today have controls on them that allow you to adjust the gain of the amplifier to compensate for different cartridges or to match levels to other things that are plugged into your system. However, it is very rare to find one that will allow you to adjust the levels for the right and left channels independently. This was a feature that I specifically asked for on my version of the VinylLiberator. Magnetic phono cartridges usually are within balance to 1 or 2 dB. However, some of them can be way out of balance by as much as 2 or 3 dB, even though the specifications state that the balance should be within 1 or 2 dB. This is a pet peeve of mine, and when switching from source to source, I hate to come across one that has unbalanced channels. Just like those broadcast phono preamplifiers of old, my VinylLiberator will allow me to get the balance dead on for whatever cartridge I happen to be using at the moment, and it will allow me to adjust the gain so that the output from the amplifier matches other inputs to my system. Cool, huh? Edger Greene's VinylLiberator Phono Preamp has proved to be a great addition to my stereo system. It has excellent audio quality, great frequency response, and extremely low noise. If you'd like to find out more about the VinylLiberator Phono Preamp, you can check out Edger Greene's YouTube channel, I'm Free 707. He's got a lot of great videos explaining its design and some audio samples posted there so you can hear what it sounds like. If you'd like to commission Ed to make one just for you, you can contact him at his YouTube channel. Pricing is on a per unit basis, depending on what features that you want in your VinylLiberator. I'm sure Edger will be more than happy to fill you in on all of the details. Thanks for watching the video. JC here for Interface Webcast. Don't forget to check us out live Friday nights, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, U.S. That's 4 p.m. Pacific. And if you're around the world, you'll have to make an adjustment for wherever you are so you can catch the live show. Don't forget that Interface isn't just a webcast, it's also a community. We would love to hear from you. We're looking for your contributions for our blog, maybe even video contributions that will be used on the show. Just contact us at live@scottydonline.com for all the details, or just check out the webpage. And don't forget the gear store. You can get you some nifty Interface gear, everything from t-shirts to coffee cups, and even things for your children. So give that button a click as well. For Interface, I'm JC.